Breaking news. This is so ironic. So Diddy's sons were about to get into an all-out brawl, a fist fight with Ray J at a recent Halloween party.
You were worried about, shots being fired.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like if Chris wasn't like the bigger voice of reason in that moment, I don't think anything that any of us were saying would have toned the situation.
KJ hopped in the clubhouse with Wack 100 to confirm it. He was asked if it was true that he was rushed by Diddy's sons, and he said yeah, while adding, in LA, I'm at the club, dog, I had nobody with me.
Christian Combs, Diddy's son, might just be stepping up to defend his dad in a way that nobody saw coming. Word on the street is that Christian ran into Ray J recently, and what started as some tension quickly escalated to a near disaster, with reports saying Christian allegedly pulled a gun on Ray J. Now, here's the twist. Ray J's name has been floating around in connection with Diddy's ongoing legal issues, and it sounds like that didn't sit well with Diddy's kids. Some are even saying that could be the real reason behind the confrontation.
Is Puffy, the P. Diddy, is his life as we know it, is it over? Not he's gonna die or anything like that, but will he ever be what he once was?
1,000 lashes. From everybody that you've slain and hurt, 1,000 lashes.
So earlier this week, Diddy's three sons, Christian, Quincy, and Justin, were spotted at Terra Electra's Unruly Agency Halloween Bash. And let's just say things almost lived up to the party's name. The Combs crew ran into Ray J outside the venue, who was there with Amber Rose and his manager David Weintraub, and it didn't take long before tensions flared. Apparently, the trio didn't take kindly to Ray J's recent comments on Diddy's scandals, and things got heated fast.
We just saw like Christian, Justin, Quincy kind of start circling Ray a little bit. Words were exchanged. Things started getting heated as we went into the parking garage.
Eyewitnesses shared that the vibe quickly shifted as the group squared off, with Christian and Justin even chest bumping with Ray J, clearly ready to throw down. But just as things were about to go off the rails, Chris Brown, who was nearby in his car, reportedly jumped in to calm things down and break up the fight. After Chris, others stepped in, making sure it didn't escalate further. And funny enough, TMZ sources hinted that this isn't the first run-in between Ray J and Diddy's sons. Later on, Ray J shared his side with Wack 100, saying, "I tried to talk some sense into what happened. Luckily, the homie Chris was there." He also claimed there were around 8 people in the Combs crew when they approached him. Weintraub, Ray's manager, wasn't shy about his frustration either, calling it a great party ruined by little kids trying to fight a big boy.
It was a great party that got ruined by little kids trying to fight a big boy.
Okay.
And sometimes you just can't have that happen.
Now let's rewind a bit. We all know Ray J has been vocal about Diddy ever since that infamous video of Diddy allegedly abusing Cassie in a California hotel surfaced. Speaking with Shannon Sharp on the Club Shay Shay podcast, Ray J admitted that while everybody messes up, he and Diddy can't be cool after that. He even went as far as suggesting Diddy needs a public whipping with 100 lashes, 1,000 lashes as some sort of reckoning.
Is Puffy, the P. Diddy, is his life as we know it, is it over? Not he's gonna die or anything like that, but will he ever be what he once was?
1,000 lashes. From everybody that you've slain and hurt, 1,000 lashes.
With all that, you can see why Christian and his brothers might be extra sensitive to Ray J's comments. And just to add a bit of spice, this isn't the first time Christian's name has floated around in talks of gang affiliation. At one point, he got himself into a sticky situation after being publicly associated with the GDK, Gangster Disciple KR, one of Chicago's most notorious gangs. Definitely a move that didn't go over well. Things really went off the rails when a video surfaced of King Combs yelling GDK and throwing up gang signs associated with the Gangster Disciples. It didn't take long for the clip to blow up online. And before you knew it, everyone was asking the same question. Why would Diddy's son, who's been raised with money and privilege, suddenly be repping gang culture? It felt out of place for a guy like King Combs, who grew up far away from that kind of life. King Yella, a real member of the GDs, was one of the first to call him out. He openly questioned King Combs' motives, saying something like, "So I look on the internet and I see Puff Daddy's son come out saying GDK." To Yella, it just didn't make sense. He even pointed out that with Diddy and hot water legally, the last thing Christian Combs should be doing is playing around with street life. Yella basically told him this wasn't the time to act like something he's not.
So I looked on the internet and I see Puff Daddy's son come out with GDK. It's not a good time while your daddy fighting all these allegations and crazy stuff he got going on with him right now.
What surprised Yella even more was that King Combs actually hit him up for advice on making drill music, a genre deeply tied to street culture. Yella didn't sugarcoat his response, straight up asking, "Why would you even try to involve yourself in anything GDK right now?" He was essentially telling Christian to stay in his lane, because dabbling in gang culture, especially tied to Chicago, is no joke. In a half-joking but serious tone, Yella even added, "Don't let them GDs get with you, dude. Goofy."
Don't let them GDs get up with you, dude. I just saw you. Then I just see you at the Lovers and Friends concert. You took a picture with me. Why you ain't tell me to my face you GDK? Goofy.
It was a subtle warning, but the message was loud and clear. The GDs are not people to mess with, especially if you're just playing around. As King Combs' video went viral, reactions online ranged from confused to critical. Many couldn't get over the fact that someone raised in mansions was even trying to associate with a dangerous gang. One person joked, "Screaming GDK from your pop's $12 million mansion is a form of insanity I thought I'd never witness," which pretty much summed up the disbelief. Others were like, "I'll never understand why rich kids try to act hood." While someone else threw out a wild comment, "He better stop before Diddy catches another body," a nod to the rumor that Diddy supposedly blew up Kid Cudi's car in a love triangle drama. With the backlash only getting louder, King Combs took to Instagram to set the record straight, saying, "I ain't affiliated with no gangs and I'm not a gang member." It was his attempt to squash the rumors, but King Yella wasn't buying it. In a post he's since deleted, Yella sarcastically thanked King for capping and called him out for even playing around with gang culture in the first place.
Thank you, baby.
GDK.
Yella's response was blunt. "You live a good life, stick to it, cause this gangbanging-ish is not where it's at. We can switch spots if you want to." He wasn't trying to tear King down, just deliver a reality check. Yella even went as far as saying, "Aye, Puffy's son, I'm proud of you, man," acknowledging King's privileged life while reminding him that the street life isn't something to fake or glamorize. For Yella, who's lived that life, it was a reminder to King to appreciate his blessings and not to pretend to be someone he's not. Yella used the whole situation to point out a bigger truth. There's a world of difference between those who grow up with everything and those struggling to survive. For people like him, the goal is to escape the streets, not get deeper into them. "You were born with a silver spoon," Yella said. "If you want to be a gangbanger, let me be a millionaire, billionaire son. I'll take that." He was basically driving home the point that trying to live a life you weren't meant for isn't worth the risk. The takeaway for King? Appreciate your privilege and don't risk it all for a lifestyle that isn't yours. But just when it seemed like things might settle down, 50 Cent got pulled into the drama. And while 50 hasn't faced the same heat Ray J did, Christian clearly knows not to mess with him. For years, 50's had beef with Diddy, taking shots whenever he can, even calling out anyone who sides with him. Diddy mostly brushes it off, knowing full well how messy things can get, but King Combs has his own feelings about 50's constant jabs at his dad. Maybe it's that youthful pride or a need to defend the family name, but either way, he underestimated what he was stepping into.
50 Cent. So much wrong with that sentence already. Yes, there's so much wrong with that sentence. I didn't even have the time to tell y'all what's wrong with that sentence. I feel like if Puff heard this, he would have stopped this. Somebody should have stopped that.
In his track, Pick a Side, King didn't hold back, referencing 50's classic Many Men with the line, "Pop's been hated on by many men, and that's fine. They gonna try to stop these M's, and they gonna die trying."
They gonna try to stop these Eminems, and they gonna die trying.
It was a bold move, but definitely risky because if there's one thing 50 Cent doesn't tolerate, it's disrespect. And, true to form, it didn't take long for 50 to catch wind of the track. And let's just say, things aren't looking great for King Combs. Anyone who knows 50 knows he's not just another rapper. He's a mogul who built his empire with a reputation for being ruthless, from the streets of Queens to worldwide stardom. King probably thought he was just standing up for his dad, but now he's about to find out firsthand what it means to go up against someone like 50. In classic 50 Cent fashion, he didn't just sit back quietly. He jumped on social media to do what he does best, troll. He posted a photo of Christian and Diddy on stage together, captioning it with dripping sarcasm. "I feel so threatened by the things Christian is saying on his record. I'm afraid for my life. Please don't hurt me, guys." I never mentioned or posted anything about Puffy's kids cause Keef D said he unalived Tupac, LOL, but he didn't stop there. 50 then posted a clip from King's track, zeroing in on one eyebrow-raising line where King says, "Suck his wood." Naturally, 50 was all over that, writing, "Damn Christian Combs, is that what you told Grace O'Marquez on that boat? Gave her the puffy juice with that special sauce in it? LOL, boy oh boy, bad boy for life."
She alleges Diddy's son, King, became obsessed with her while she worked as a stewardess. She claims the yacht job had been advertised as family-friendly. She goes on to claim that while working, King pressured her to take a shot.
And just when things couldn't get any messier, 50 threw up another snippet where King hints at dirt on Diddy's behavior. Always quick to catch these moments, 50 quipped, "Now why would you say something like this when you know the feds are investigating? Is you stupid or is you dumb? LOL, chill." At this point, it's painfully clear that King might have dived into deeper waters than he expected. He's trying to throw punches like he's been through it all. But the truth is, he's a rich kid playing tough in a game he's not built for. Meanwhile, 50's been forged in the fire of real street life and isn't afraid to go there if pushed. Right now, Christian's gone quiet, but the situation is exploding on social media, and it doesn't look like it's cooling down anytime soon. To an outsider, 50's post might look like he's just goofing around, but anyone who knows his story understands that there's something much darker behind those jokes.
I bought like the first 4 rows in this concert.
You bought the first 4 rows in this concert?
Yeah, they was like on Groupon for $15. It wasn't a big deal.
So when he came out, there's nobody in the first 4 rows of his concert?
50 Cent isn't some rapper who's just playing a role. He's lived it, breathed it. From the jump, Curtis was surrounded by street life and raised by his grandparents after his mother passed away. He learned quickly that if he was going to survive, he'd have to count on himself, embracing the harshness of his environment. It's a world Christian Combs, as Diddy's son, has never had to experience. By the age of 7, 50 was already boxing, toughening up in a neighborhood where it was either fight or get beat down. That early discipline set the stage. But by 12, Curtis had already taken a sharp turn. He started dealing drugs while pretending to go to after-school programs. And this wasn't some petty experiment. Curtis was serious, hustling for real, making money and carving out a name on the streets, while most kids his age were still focused on homework and video games. Instead of childhood innocence, he was out here bringing guns and drug cash to school, hiding it all from his grandparents, who had no idea just how deep he was entrenched in that life. So, when 50 sees a rich kid like Christian Combs trying to throw tough bars, he probably sees right through it, knowing firsthand that the street life is no game. This is where you really start to wonder if Christian's in over his head. Because while King might be all bravado in his verses, trying to sound like he's got that street edge, 50 actually lived it for real. He wasn't just some kid from the quiet suburbs playing a part, he was out on those unforgiving streets, hustling hard, selling crack, doing whatever it took to survive in a world that could easily chew up most people and spit them out. At one point, it wasn't even worth trying to hide his life from his family anymore. He got to a point where he straight up told his grandmother, "I sell drugs." For him, the streets weren't some temporary phase or a passing rebellion. They were the very core of his life, shaping who he was at every level. Then, in 1994, things took a serious turn when he got busted selling coke to an undercover cop. And you'd think maybe this would be the thing that made him stop and rethink everything, right? Nope. Just a few weeks after that, the cops raided his place and uncovered heroin, crack, and a gun. He was looking at a sentence of 3 to 9 years, and while most people might have seen that as the end of the road, for 50 it was just another chapter. He spent 6 months in a boot camp program, earned his GED, and came out tougher than ever, mentally sharpened, more resilient than before, and still laser-focused on his grind. He wasn't the same guy. He was now battle-hardened, and the streets hadn't broken him. They'd just made him stronger. 50 Cent didn't just pick a name that sounded cool or catchy. His choice was a deliberate nod to survival and resilience. 50 Cent wasn't just some alias, it was a symbol, a badge of honor that carried weight, an identity tied to grit and tenacity. He drew inspiration from Kelvin 50 Cent Martin, a notorious Brooklyn hustler from the 80s, a guy who was both feared and respected on the streets. Curtis Jackson saw something familiar in that name, something that matched his own relentless drive and willingness to do whatever it took to get by, even if it meant playing dirty. And even after he hit it big in the rap world, that raw, street-hardened side of him never faded. Fame didn't polish him. It just amplified that edge. He wasn't a stranger to violence or danger either. His rise wasn't all glitz and glamour. In 2000, he survived a brutal shooting, hit 9 times and lived, which only added to his legendary persona. For most people, that close call might have been a sign to step back, leave the past behind. But for 50, it just added more fuel to his fire. Now look at King Combs. He's Diddy's son, raised in a life of privilege and fame, completely distanced from the grit of street life. He's got talent, sure, but in 50's world, it's another league. Growing up with every opportunity handed to you doesn't quite prepare you for taking on someone like 50. To 50, there's no room for softness, no patience for anyone who hasn't been through the real struggle. Christian stepping into a ring he might not be ready for. But here's the twist. 50 Cent isn't just some hustler from back in the day. He's built himself into an empire. From surviving those 9 bullets to dropping Get Rich or Die Tryin', he transformed into a mogul with a hand in everything: music, TV, film, liquor, and more. 50's still powerful, still relevant, and not to be underestimated. So where does King Combs really fit in here? He's got skill, connections, and he's definitely Diddy's son. But going toe-to-toe with 50, that's a risky play. Taking shots at 50 might just be the biggest mistake he's made in his career. Once 50 locks in on a beef, he doesn't let up. Just ask Ja Rule. That feud didn't stop at diss tracks. 50 systematically dismantled Ja's career, reducing him to a punchline in hip-hop. Christian's playing with fire, and he might be in for a harsh lesson if he keeps poking the bear.
Ja wasn't like, he didn't come up under the same type of circumstances. He wasn't forced to actually fend for himself that early. Actually, he was a Jehovah's Witness. You knock on a door Saturday, try to sell his watchtower.
To this day, Ja Rule has never really bounced back from the wreckage 50 left behind, and you have to wonder, is King Combs on the verge of repeating history, putting himself on the same path? Because if he keeps pushing this beef with 50, he could end up staring down the exact same consequences, something you'd think Diddy might have warned him about, given what happens when you challenge someone as ruthless as 50 Cent. But here we are. And it's looking like King is stepping right into the line of fire, about to get an unforgettable lesson in how 50 operates. The thing with 50 is that he's never been the type to drop a diss track, shrug it off, and move on. He's infamous for taking his time with a beef, going all in to find the most public, humiliating ways to make his rivals look foolish, like when he bought out the front rows of Ja Rule's concert just to leave them empty, or when he publicly taunted Floyd Mayweather to read a page of a Harry Potter book, dragging out their feud with brutal precision. This isn't just a rap battle for 50. He's a master at playing the long game, hitting where it hurts most, dragging things out until his opponent is left reeling. And the reality is that 50 Cent has always been a fighter. Growing up in the streets with a mindset molded by survival, he's the kind of person who fights to win by any means necessary, never backing down. That's the force King Combs is up against. Someone who doesn't play fair, doesn't pull punches, and has a reputation for demolishing those who challenge him. If King Combs thinks he's dealing with just another rapper, he's in for a brutal awakening. Because this isn't just some playful back and forth. And it's definitely not just about dropping a few bars. This is a battle with real stakes, and it's clear King might be walking into something way bigger and way more dangerous than he would ever prepare for.